Hello again, this is Amanda. Continue about CPS. I've had to deal with them trying to tell me, my caseworker at the time, trying to tell me that my daughter was molested, which was proven that she wasn't. I did have to take anger management, parenting, go to family counseling. I did everything that they wanted me to do. I also went in for a meeting along with my mother, two of the caseworkers from CPS, and in the meeting it was stated that I would get my oldest back the following June, and then I would get back my youngest the following February. Well, that never happened. Like I said before, my last video, I did get my youngest back within 6 months, before February of the following year. Let's see, I have became face-to-face with CPS, my caseworker, when my oldest was using the bathroom. You know, when 3-year-olds in the bathroom, you have to make sure they're not getting into toilet paper or putting it in the toilet, you know, that kind of thing. Well, my daughter tells me, "Mommy, don't look at my cuckoo." And I said, "Katerina," I said, "I'm just standing right here by the door, you know, making sure that you're okay." Well, that ticked me off when she said that, and it wasn't that I was mad at her. I was mad because of what these people are telling my daughter, you know, because I'm not sick like that. I don't like little kids like that. That's just disgusting. Well, when that day that it happened, I ended up getting the caseworker's face, and then they ended up coming up with, "Oh, well, you need anger management classes." Well, after I jumped through their hoops and did everything they wanted me to do, along with move, get my license, get a job, you know, I did it all. And I was still a no good person. You know, I was still emotional. You know, I smoked cigarettes. I drank every now and then. I've always been a social drinker, and still to this day, 11 years later, I'm still just a social drinker. Lucky if I'm drink maybe 6 times a year, you know. I do smoke cigarettes every day. I don't do drugs, unless it's my medication, and prescribed my medication. And I had to also back then take a drug test. I passed my drug test. Oh, and then my daughter's father, my oldest daughter's father, he had a 7-year drug habit. He had to take 2 AA classes, and he was cured. Funny thing. That year is when same year he ended up getting busted quite a few times with marijuana and DUIs. Let's see. I've seen my daughter get into a truck, of course, in the front seat with no booster seat. At 3, you know, kids have to have a booster seat. And CPS allowed that to happen. My daughter would always get bribed. "Well, you know, if you behave, I'll take you to McDonald's or Burger King," which I always asked my daughter, you know, "Did Grandma take you?" And I was like, "No." You know, she never took me. I've had to send my daughter clothes because she didn't have, you know, enough. And even now at 14, she's wanting me and my mother to go and get her some jeans because she only has 2 pairs of jeans and like 5 shirts, and there's a total now of 8 kids in the house, in a 4-bedroom house. And the courts in Ohio allow this to happen. Let's see. Let's see, what else? Oh, I've also, my car broke down on the way to North Carolina one time, and the father refused to come and get us, which is myself and my daughter. and my dad, and because my car was overheating. Well, eventually we just said heck with it, and after the car stopped overheating, we just went ahead and turned back and went back home. And thank God a friend of mine came over, and he ended up taking us all the way to North Carolina, which, mind you, is an 8-hour drive. And so she didn't get home until like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. What else has happened? My daughter has also witnessed her dad screaming and yelling at me. My 2 children, I have 3 kids now. I have a 10-year-old son, and my 2 kids, or well, 3 kids altogether, witnessed my oldest daughter's father yelling and screaming at me and my husband, all over because I went to the school and because he didn't want me there. And so, you know, my oldest witnessed that. It affected her. It affected my 2 other children. My son ended up screaming and yelling at my oldest daughter's dad, and usually we would say, hey, don't do that, you know, that's very disrespectful, but we didn't, because he was trying to stick up for his parents. And, you know, it's, oh my goodness. I mean, I have a journal my mother ended up writing for me, you know, and my daughter, so when she gets old enough, she can read it. It's probably a good 200 pages, maybe more than that, for like 2 years worth of courts that I've had to go through. I was always at court back in 01 and 02. And then I was in court in 03, all because of this whole child services and, you know, get my visitation rights and, you know, trying to fight the dad, which, mind you, the dad wasn't even in this girl's life, like, all the time. He lived like 2 minutes away and couldn't even come and see her. The grandmother, her dad's mom, has been to jail for assault and batter, while even having custody of my daughter. And CPS knew about it. They didn't care. They still allowed my daughter to be around them. My daughter is actually allowed to be around a sex offender. He went to prison for 2 years, got probation, and 2 years later got custody of his 2 kids, his 2 daughters. Go figure. And when this was brought up in court, it was no big deal. And my daughter's allowed to stay a night at a sex offender's house. The sex offender went to prison for kidnapping and rape of a 16-year-old when he was like in his 20s or 30s. And like I said, my daughter is allowed to be around them. My daughter is also allowed to stay a night at her boyfriend's house. And I myself can't talk to her dad about anything, because if I talk to her dad about anything, I'm wrong, I'm lying, you know, and nothing I say to him, I'm never right. I'm always wrong. I'm always lying. My daughter needs to talk to somebody. She talks to me. She can't go to her dad or her stepmother for anything. I gotta call my mom. I even went out and got my daughter a phone, so this way, if anything does happen, she can go ahead and call me. You know, when last year when we ended up going to court, what was it? Both of her brothers, when she was abused, both of her brothers seen this. She has 2 twin brothers. Both of her brothers seen the abuse take place. And on paperwork, CPS got that. But the other paperwork came up missing. So they were only able the courts were only able to see my daughter's and her 2 brothers' statements, you know, and the school got to see her marks. And I got to see the pictures that she sent me with blood on the corner of her window. I can't remember what the heck it's called right now. Brain dead. And, you know, the marks on her back and her face from her stepmother. But, you know, CPS, of course, let these people get away with this stuff. You know, now if it was me, you know, still to this day, because I lost custody of my 2 daughters back in 2001, I'm a very strict parent because I don't want the stuff that happened back then happen now, you know. My 14-year-old, when she's here, she's like on a leash, you know. It's sad, but I mean, it has to be. I mean, I expect more out of her than what everybody else expects out of her. You know, she knows not to have sex. She knows that if she has sex, then she gets pregnant, then her dad's going to take away the children. It's how the family works. The family loves calling CPS on people. You know, and it's always child molestation. Always child molestation. Everybody's been molested in that family. Which is not always true. That's just what they say. And of course CPS believes them. And even though they don't have proof of it, they still believe them, you know. But I'm going to get going, and any of you have to deal with CPS, good luck, because they're hard to deal with. Seriously. I mean, like I said in my last video, you know, 10, 11 years later, here I am, and I have anxiety issues. I have panic attacks like all the time. I'm like on 5 different medications. And I wasn't on medication back then when I lost custody of my kids. I was a happy-go-lucky person. And they mess with your head. You know, they really do. Emotionally and mentally. And it's very hard to deal with. I'm out.